Paul is one of those guys that you could definitely spend a lifetime studying. His letters are so deep and often sometimes so complex and a little bit opaque that it can take a lot to sift through and understand what he's speaking about. Sometimes we just don't have the context, we don't know the history, we don't know the personal setting of some of the scandals or situations that he's addressing, and it can be hard to make our way through them as modern readers. But for me, there are two core ideas within Paul's writings that will ground your imagination of Paul and help you make sense of how he's approaching things. And for me, what's really beautiful is that they're found in two poems. Now, they may have been poems that Paul wrote, or they may be poems that were circulating in the Christian community that Paul is quoting. The first is in Colossians 1, the second is in Philippians 2. But I really believe that these two poems, the Colossian and the Philippian hymn, ground Paul's imagination of God in the person of Jesus, and that can be the lens through which we wrestle with all of the little struggles and contextual scandals that he's attempting to address throughout his writings. And we opened the book of Colossians together, and we grounded ourselves in the stars with Paul's cosmic opening to this letter. And the section that we worked our way toward last week is sometimes called the Colossian hymn. It runs from Colossians 1, verse 15 through 20. And there we looked at a bit of the structure, a bit of the poetry, but really we tried to focus in on three presuppositions that Paul lays out there. Sort of a prolegomena for everything that follows in this letter. Christ is the image of the invisible God. Christ comes from before all things, and in him all things hold together. And finally, the fullness of deity was alive and breathing in Jesus as he walked through this earth. And my argument is, part of what this is telling us is that everything we need to know about God, probably, maybe not everything we want to know about God, but certainly everything that we need to understand the divine and live well can be found in looking at the way Jesus moves through the world. And as I said last week, this is very much the cosmic grounding of all of Paul's theology. He will absolutely get into the weeds when he needs to, dealing with church politics and personal scandals, all the muck and mire of human beings in community with each other. But at his highest imagination of the universe, at his foundational grounding of belief, there exists this profound trust that the fullness of divine life is revealed in Jesus. And Paul does some fantastic thinking throughout his career, trying to make sense of it all and attempting to piece together the story of God meticulously. But over the years, and spending a lot of time wrestling with Paul's writings, I've really come to believe that the core of Paul's theology is rooted in, can maybe even be summed up by two important poems. That's Colossians 1, verses 15 to 20, which we looked at last week, and then probably for me, Philippians 2, verses 6 through 11 as well. In these two short poems, we get the centrality and the supremacy of Christ through Colossians, and then we learn that all of that supremacy is expressed only in self-giving love through Philippians. And that is good news. That Christ is the center and Christ is love. And even though I am not a poet myself, I love that Paul's theology is really grounded in poetry. Often, I think our theology is like trying to learn all the words when maybe we should just learn to hum along instead. And maybe that's what Paul invites us to.